I want to ask you, because I've noticed you're quite the puzzler on your mountain bike. Back when you're on a factory KTM team, what level of puzzling would go on? What were you aware of? Because it is interesting, like engine, suspension.
Yeah.
Like how much do you affect?
I can tell when something's not running right. Like I can tell if the suspension needs to be changed a bit, or if you need to change the jetting because it's not quite revving right. It's not as crisp as it should be. But like I wouldn't actually know how it needs to be changed. I just know that it needs to be changed. And luckily my dad was just like clued in on that stuff, obviously being around it for so long. I just go, this isn't right. They'll go, try that. Like, sweet, perfect. So I didn't have to actually have like any mechanical knowledge. I was just like, this doesn't work.
I mean, that's the dream scenario, right? That's like what a team would want as well.
I don't like
Daniel
have to think
Ricciardo,
about it.
he don't know how a car works. He don't have a clue, but he can tell you it's wrong.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I love that. I love the thought of just being like, the like front left's going. Can we do something? You know what I mean? Or just anything.
Yeah. But also being able to feel it's like so important.
Yeah.
Like being able to know, because a lot of people probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I've personally always really guilty of that. Like on a mountain bike, anything I don't really know what's going on.
Right.
I'm always very impressed by people who can be like, the suspension is off, the front is off, whatever. I always find that really impressive.
I never used to be able to.
Really?
When I was a kid, I'd like
just ride whatever.
You could give me a bike and like the bars could be on backwards or something, and I'd just be like, oh, it's so good. Like, I just rag it. To be fair, I can still do that now, but I can actually feel, I can feel every little
what's
thing
going
now.
on a little bit.
Yeah, I was impressed hearing you talk about suspension setup when we're in Germany and you're like, like I've never been able to do that.
Yeah,
I've never been able to be like, oh, my front keeps pushing, or like I can't. I can imagine that's like probably helped a lot coming from Moto.
Yeah. So the main like thing is I had to teach myself, like obviously not being on a team on a mountain bike, I don't have someone to like just make the changes for me. I kind of need to know myself what I need to change. And like the way I done that was just kept going out and changing stuff even if it wasn't good, just so I know what it feels like. So now I just know what like every single thing feels like. It's just ingrained in there. Okay. So now if I feel something's off, I'm like, oh yeah, that was that, so I just need to change this. Like I already know because I've already done it.
It's a good way of doing it, actually.
It is, isn't it? Can we do an example? This is probably annoying to you, but I find it really interesting. So you were having trouble at the IXS. You were saying like, oh, I keep losing my front. So what was your? Because I know you're like quite like, you have it lined up how you like troubleshoot.
Yeah.
What were your steps that you took? For instance, with the front pushing.
Yeah.
In turns when you're pushing hard.
So that track at the IXS, it wasn't very steep, was it? It was quite flat. And so I've played with how far I've dropped my forks through the crown. I've probably played with like 10 mil and I've done every single mil. Because depending how steep it is, you want to raise or lower that. And it was the same with motocross actually. In sand, you'd drop the forks right through so you kind of know, like the front's pushing like it's a bit far away from me. I'll just bring the forks up.
So you're trying to get a bit more weight on the front, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and then so you can kind of push in a bit harder.
And then with that, if you add more weight, then you have to adjust accordingly. Mm-hmm. What are you adjusting?
So it depends how much you do it all by. It could literally just be a click of compression.
I appreciate these are annoying questions, but I quite like that. I quite like your like no nonsense approach. Like when you talk about it, it's quite like it's actually scientific.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like you've thought about it, and it's not. There's no bullshit really. You are actually saying what you've felt, and I just find it interesting.
It's literally just putting like all of my past experience, no matter what the sport, together, just memorizing how every single thing feels on the bike, and then it just speeds up the process basically. Because you could, have a problem, and there could be like 5 different ways that you could fix it. But if you know what works for you already because you've tried it, instead of having to go do 5 different runs and being like, oh yeah, that's finally good, you can pretty much get it like done in one run. Yeah. And it just saves you so much time, and you can start focusing on other stuff. Yeah. A bit more.
So then you have your bike just at its base setting, and you can adjust it per track based on your memory of the things that you've.
Mm-hmm. And like, you don't really get like one base setting though. Like throughout the year, I think a lot of people have this. Your bike actually ends up getting stiffer throughout the year because you're getting faster throughout the year, which is pretty nuts. And you don't really,
cool, isn't it?
you don't really go back unless the track conditions change. Like it could be slippery or something. You'll soften it back up.
I'd be interested to hear what a fast bike feels like for you when you know your bike's dialed.
Yeah.
What does it feel like? Does it?
It just gives you confidence. It's like the confidence that you can go into this turn without braking and just push, and it's just going to grip. And then that's the main thing. I've always said this actually because you obviously can like use technology to set your bike up and stuff, but in my opinion, it's good. It's very, very good to get you progress fast, but it's definitely not always right in my opinion. It's more rider feel because I think you'll get more out of a bike that's more out of a bike that feels correct to you and gives you more confidence than more out of a bike that's like statistically correct. So
that's interesting. How long would it usually take you to get it? Let's say you go to a World Cup.
Yeah.
How many runs are you talking to get a bike like dialed so it feels like that? And do you sometimes miss at some weekends? And because obviously you hear people say that, like I just didn't have the bike dialed in. Has there been times where you just miss it? You just can't find a setup?
100%. To be fair, we've got such a good base setting that I never really have to change too much.
Yeah.
It's always really minor stuff here and there. We did have one when the track was super quick. I put new tunes in my shock and forks, which is quite a big change.
Yeah.
And it's a lot to get done in a weekend.
Yeah.
So it actually depends quite a lot on the track, I'd say.
Okay.
Because some tracks I could turn off, my bike would be sweet. Other tracks I could be like, right, like I'm blowing out, let me try a few different things, and I'm still just blowing through it. Right, new tune. We got to go stiffer on the tune.
So when you're saying new tune, are you trying to make things just harder or ramp up more or both?
So I'm running the Olan's on my downhill bike. So with the ramp, you've got a top air chamber and a bottom air chamber, so you can adjust it pretty well with that. But you put more air in the bottom chamber, it's going to ramp up a bit quicker. What these tunes do, it's like a compression tune. So if you're sat at the top of the compression and like you can't make it any stiffer on that, then you put a bigger tune in, and then the middle of those clicks will be like the top of the tune before. So it just gives you more adjustment basically.
Yeah.
Okay. So that sort of thing.
You've learnt all this yourself?
Yeah, so me and my brother kind of just spent like...
Oh, the smart one.
Yeah.
All right, he comes in handy when you start racing World Cups.
He's my World Cup mechanic, or he was.
No way.
So, like last winter, we just kept driving places, and I was like, right, I'm just going to change something every lap. We'd change loads of stuff, and then we'd just talk about it. We kind of discuss each other's ideas, and then just try it and see how it goes, sort of thing. So it's literally all just trial and error.
Yeah.
Hours and hours of trial and error.
We hop forward quite quickly to racing World Cups.
Mm-hmm.
What was the point where you decided to stop the moto side, racing dirt bikes? What an episode! You did really well there.
Oh, thanks, dude.
Yeah.
Do you know what would finish it off?
What?
If you could put some sort of link over my face.
Yeah, I can do that. I could put a video up on Ollie's face of an episode we think you'll love.
Is it on now?
There is a subscribe button here on this chair, and on my face, another video we think you'll love. Thank you. We appreciate you.
There's nothing in the chair now. Subscribe.